The spacewalk is scheduled for day 3. It's going to be risky, you've just heard. It's a new space suit, and the Dragon capsule doesn't have an airlock. So everybody inside will feel the vacuum of space. Leroy Chiao was the commander of the International Space Station in 2004. These are pictures of his many spacewalks. You can see he's with me now. Sir, honoured to have you with us. Just tell me, what do you make of what they're doing up there?
Well, it is a little bit eyebrow raising for a couple of reasons. Number one, as you've pointed out, these are not professionals. They've been trained, to be fair. They've been accomplished other things, but they're not professionals. They haven't done this before. It's a brand new spacesuit, never been tested actually in space. Number two, they are going to vent the cabin, the entire cabin, down to vacuum. And of course, that's a pretty big risk because you've got to repressurize it and make sure all the seals are going to hold and none of the equipment's going to fail because it's been exposed to vacuum. So there is some risk involved in this, no question about it.
Here's the tougher question. Do you think it's a reasonable risk that they're running?
I actually do. After my eyebrows raised a little bit, I thought about it. And, I know several of the people over there at SpaceX, and I used to do some consulting work for them for a number of years. And I know that they take safety very seriously, and they know how bad it would be if there were to be some kind of an accident. And so I have confidence that they've, thoroughly done everything that they can to make sure that this thing happens safely. But it's exciting. I have to say that I am for commercial space. I am for missions like this because it's kind of a natural progression. The government funds these big programs, figures out the technology, figures out how to do it, and then the commercial side comes over and starts, building off of that. So all in all, I think this is a great thing, and I wish those guys great success.
A couple of other areas. I cannot have an astronaut on the program without sort of other things. The astronauts that are stuck on the space station because Boeing's craft can't get them back, and now look, I understand they're mentally prepared. It's grim for them, but it's 6 months, so they'll get over it. From Boeing's point of view, having this piece of junk attached to the ISS that they can't get back, or at least they'll have to deadhead it back. It's embarrassing. It's difficult. It's just downright weird.
Well, no question. It's a huge black eye for Boeing, and they have not had a good several years, in their airplane business and now in their space business. So, they got a brand new CEO. He's been tasked to turn the culture around. Hopefully they will transition back to more of an engineering and technology-led company rather than, an accountant kind of a bottom line-led organization, and they'll be able to recover the grandeur they used to have and the reputation they used to have. Very difficult to recover a reputation once you've sullied it.
Absolutely. All right, back to you, sir. Back to you. Just tell me what it was like when you leave the capsule or the ISS and you're floating in space. I know you're a thorough professional and you're concentrated on the job in hand and you're not worried. But what was that moment like?
Sure. Well, first of all, it is nothing like it's portrayed in the movies. In the movies, you take just a few minutes to get this suit on, you walk into this huge airlock, which vents to vacuum in a matter of seconds, and then you float outside and you're listening to your heartbeat and your own breathing. None of that is true. It takes hours to get everything together and prepared and to get into your suit, go through all the checks. It takes a while to go down to vacuum. The airlock's very small because you want to lose the smallest amount of gas you can. You've got to make it up, or you've got to pump it, in and out. And then when you're outside, or when you turn the suit on, it's very noisy. There's a loud fan blowing oxygen over your face, which is a good noise, but it's you cannot hear your heart for anything. And you also, interestingly, in the American suit, the pressure inside is so low, you can't whistle. So you're not listening to your own breathing or anything like that. And but the impression, I think, is what you're getting at. Once you go outside, that view of space through the helmet visor, you get your peripheral vision involved, and it's spectacular. And it's surreal. That's the best word I can say.
Reading the notes and reading your comments on this, can you get your head around the fact that A, it's a vacuum, and that if it, there's nothing there, and if you throw something, it'll go forever. But also, when you look out into the black yonder, it goes on forever. Can you get your head around that?
You're right, and that's kind of like that word I use, is surreal. It's almost like you're in a dream. You can hardly believe you're out there. You're looking, as you say, at the beautiful Earth, and then you turn and you're looking down out into deep space, into the darkest black you can imagine when you're on the sun side of the orbit. You can't see the stars on that part of the orbit, and so. It makes you think about a lot of things, and also you're very much aware of the risk. You're at a very much higher risk level when you're out there, and I'm in a state of, all 6 of my spacewalks, I was in a state of what I call hyper awareness. I was very aware of where my tethers were, making sure I was always attached to the station, just knowing where all my equipment was, and I wasn't going to get things tangled up in my legs or anything like that. There are a lot of things to keep track of when you're outside.
We've got a couple more minutes just to talk about this a bit more. Back to SpaceX and the Dragon, I thoroughly admire what they're doing, and I applaud. And their record is tremendous, and this is the future, as you say. But we have to remember that there's risk. Real risk. I don't just mean theoretical risk. There is, as Richard Branson discovered with his craft, as the Titanic lot discovered when they went down there, there is real risk to exploration, and that can't be totally negated.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is risk in getting on a rocket filled with fuel, and you've got pumps, turbo pumps that have to work, and the rocket engines have to work, and everything has to stay together, right? Even on a vehicle that's flown many times, it just takes one careless, something didn't get checked right, could be all over. So yeah, there's definitely risk, and you have to be fully aware of that before you agree to go on something like this.
But Leroy, I'll bet a cup of coffee that if I was to pay for your ride up there next time round, you'd go.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I would love an opportunity to go to the moon. It's interesting. Astronauts, we think about risk more with every flight we take, and you're asking yourself, what am I doing differently this time, or what new experience am I going to have that's going to make the reward worth the risk, right? So, anyway, I would love to go to the moon if you'd like to pay for me to go.
What's that famous line? Checks in the mail. Grateful for your attention, sir. Thank you very much indeed.